shot here. Oh, you're gonna get a 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 shot here.
Welcome to the No Shot NBA podcast with Chuck and Duck.
And engineer Ben behind the scenes.
The No Shots podcast is brought to you by Dank Delish Coffee. Best beans in the galaxy are the only way to start your morning. Go to dankdelish.com and order some. You won't regret it. You can listen, like, and subscribe to the No Shots podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And listeners, please don't be afraid to send us any questions at noshotspod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Probably read it on the show. Gotta be honest. That's noshotspod@gmail.com. Thanks. Enjoy the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Mavericks are out the door. They're gone and dead. They have no life. They've tried so hard, and they won't survive. Because the Celtics win, that's right, the Jays, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They were brave enough to win the chip, and now we'll see if they can ever do it again. Probably not, because the league is stacked. And Jason Tatum might not even be all that.
Welcome back to the No Shots podcast, episode 16. The Celtics win. Woo! The Celtics have done it, baby. They've won it all on this very special episode of the No Shots podcast. We have our reactions, our finals reactions.
Our final reaction.
And our final reactions. This will be the last episode of the No Shots pod. We got some grading to do. We have a few grades to give out to some players and a few non-players.
Oh.
Stay tuned to find out who. We have one last in memoriam.
So sad.
Basketball means, everything in my life.
There's some news around the league. The off-season's already starting. We got some Commissioner Cup predictions. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
We'll be looking forward.
You know why this is special that it's episode 16?
Why is that?
Why is
And
that?
I'll be celebrating a Celtics victory here.
Ooh.
Well, 16 years to the day, on Monday, the Celtics won the 08 title.
Whoa!
On the
the
17th.
Coincidence?
Yep.
And
I
it was
think not.
And this
June
one's their
17th.
18th.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And 16 years later, you're talking about it on your
My own
critically acclaimed podcast.
critically acclaimed.
That's right. Critics love it. The people not so
we
much.
do have a 5-star review on
it's like a
Spotify.
art movie,
Our one critic, baby. Our one critic.
We have a 5-star review.
Yeah, we're fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, bro.
Yeah.
We're fresh. Fresh tomato.
What's
What
our
is-
IMDb
What's
rating?
the podcast version of Rotten Tomatoes?
Potten tomatoes.
Just the iTunes
It's got to be
stars.
rotten something.
Oh, rotten.
Rotten. Well, it's like a seed pod.
Fresh
right?
pies.
Rotten vanilla beans.
Rotten pies.
Rotten
Rotten
pies.
pies. I like that. Hey, you get 4 pies. Is that good
Yeah,
or bad?
four pies.
Because sometimes a pie to the face,
It's a little too much pie. I can only use I'll eat a slice myself,
Did you guys did you guys have food fights growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
You've
cafeteria
had some
brawls.
epic food fight stories. I've
Epic
heard.
brawls. Which I will
No,
not get into. Here.
not really.
Me neither. We'll save it for another time.
Yep. Tune in next episode of the No Shots podcast, episode 17. But this is episode 16.
That's right.
I'm your host, Duck. To the left of me, we got diehard Celtics fan rocking the Boston Red Sox jersey, Chuck. And And to the right, we have also rocking green.
Yep.
Bleed green.
We got
They
Engineer
said
Buck over
that
here.
when they came into the house.
Oh, bleeding green.
Green, yeah. Look at it.
Engineer Buck on the loose, showing off their arm tat.
And my
Full of green.
full of green blood.
Yeah.
Full
wow.
of blood.
Yeah. Just for today.
Blood. Just for today. Special recording pod day. So, how you guys doing today?
I'm ecstatic. I'm great.
Ooh, love to hear it. How about you, Engineer Buck?
I'm good. I'm chilling. I had a good pork chop for dinner.
Ooh, lovely pork chop that Chuck cooked up.
Yeah.
Some
Got that sesame oil in there. I think that was a real good idea.
and some green beans.
Yeah,
So we got
that was-
green in our system.
That was done on purpose.
Yes, it was.
Speaking of Oilers,
Ooh,
my
Oh.
hockey team is still alive.
they're still in there.
Still in there.
Houston Oilers are still in there.
Yeah.
Was it
Hold it
3-2?
on for dear life.
They're down.
3-2. They're down.
Can the Panthers close it out?
Greatest
You won't know.
margin of victory or most points in a closeout.
Oh
game.
yeah, that was like 8-1.
8-1. I didn't even know that was possible.
Jeez,
I know.
onslaught.
We said that they had a better shot than the Mavs coming back from
Yes,
3-0.
they
At
did.
least that's what I said. I don't know about.
no,
you asked
we,
the
we
question.
agree.
I agreed.
We agreed.
Yeah.
It's
I
happened
agreed.
in hockey.
Yeah.
Well, look, I just want to say congratulations to Charles and the state of Massachusetts.
Congrats. Congratulations in
day.
order.
For New England.
There you go.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I was scrolling dumbly through Twitter, and it was one of those charts that was it was like who's rooting for who in the finals, and the person didn't even bother to the only place was Massachusetts for the Celtics,
Oh, everyone else was rooting
which
for
was
the Mavericks.
immediately I don't know if it was that much.
Even the States, you mean?
Yeah, in the States. And but they didn't even bother to pick out the New England states like Maine and New Hampshire
Yeah.
or Rhode Island.
Like, is
Rhode
Rhode Island?
Island.
Yeah.
They're going to be Celtics
Yeah.
fans, right?
Yeah.
Is Rhode
And-
Island like a Celtics?
Yeah,
State,
they
or is
are.
it
It's
like-
right there.
Or is it like
Brown
a-
University?
Or are they
Or like I
Knicks
mean like, and then
fans?
Connecticut's like half
might
and
be
half.
Phillies
Yeah, Connecticut's half and half. Phillies fans?
But we don't consider
Yeah.
them we don't consider I don't know.
Want to get those
Connecticut.
teams, those places, the basketball teams. New Hampshire, Vermont,
The New Hampshire.
They do.
the
Like
Vermont
the
Bandits.
Catamounts.
the Vermont Hares.
The Vermont Varmints.
Joe Mazzulla coached for Maine, I believe. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
The Maine
He was
men.
he played for West Virginia, the Mountaineers. I don't know. He did coach. He was coaching the Maine Red Claws, which
Yeah.
are no longer the Maine Red
Maine
Claws.
Red Claws. There
They're
you
the
go.
Celtics, the Maine Celtics.
And he went to high school
Ah.
in Rhode Island.
Rhode
Rhode
Island.
Island.
Ah,
Yeah.
It's all
How do you like
coming
that?
full circle. It's all coming full circle.
I mean, really, what a journey for Joe.
What a journey.
undrafted in 2011.
Before we get into it,
Crazy.
like and subscribe on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We have an email. Email us at noshotspod@gmail.com. You fucking assholes.
I didn't check to see if we got an email.
Ooh, we're
I'll
gonna do a
check.
live check-in.
I got it.
We got a live check-in.
I'll
Who's
take-
gonna check first? Is it gonna be
Nope.
Engineer Buck or
Nope. No
Oh.
one.
Chuck?
Oh, we do
No.
have an email.
I'm cleaning the glass.
It's from your mom.
What does
Yeah.
it say, Buck?
And from whose mom?
Who's mom?
I'm not saying whose mom.
It's the listener's
I'm not
mom.
saying whose mom. It says, you guys are doing such a great job. Love you.
Love you.
XO mom.
Oh, thanks, mom.
Oh, thanks, mom.
Anyway,
All right. So, congratulations to Chuck and their Celtics. And before we get into all of that, this is the time of the pod where we have one last hometown romp where we just give the floor to Chuck. Anything on your mind in your victory lap, Chuck?
Yeah, I've got a little monologue here.
Possible.
We need some Celtics on that soundboard. I should have got some especially today. Anyways.
True.
Jesus Christ.
Who's gonna win it? The Celtics. Because there's no other reason why. The Celtics are the balls.
Well, it actually took me till I was writing something completely different for this section yesterday, and I completely scratched it, and I started writing this at 5:30 today. Because I really didn't know what I was going to open with. It was kind of hard. I don't know. But I decided to start with something that didn't happen on Monday night. At least for one team. And that's failure. You know, in the sports world, failure is something I think we all, media pundits, fans, we all like to shout out, get angry with. We get sad about it. It's not a comfortable feeling, failure. And enough failure will have us all seriously questioning a player or a team's ability to get the job done. And maybe they can't, but failure is ultimately an integral part to almost every champion's path. Let's go through a few examples here. Dirk Nowitzki. His team let go of the rope in those 2006 finals. Multiple first-round exits later, he finally came through. Mm-hmm. He made amends at the hands of the Heatles.
Yep.
LeBron failed in Cleveland his first go-around, ended up in Miami, then went back to Cleveland and overcame the greatest regular season team of all time. The Spurs lost on the miracle Ray Allen shot, came back with vengeance the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Warriors capped off the greatest regular season of all time with a blown 3-1 lead. If that didn't happen, they wouldn't have gotten Kevin Durant and wouldn't have run roughshod over the league. The Raptors couldn't get over the hump with DeRozan. Failure after failure. And made a gamble trade of a lifetime for Kawhi Leonard. It paid off. Shaq failed in Orlando and then became the most dominant force maybe we've ever seen in the league. Kobe's Lakers couldn't do shit after Shaq left. And then he got Powell. They got manhandled by the Celtics in the 2008 finals, only to come back and win 2 in a row with some newfound toughness. MJ's Bulls couldn't beat the Pistons until he did. The bad boy Pistons couldn't beat the Celtics until they finally did. Olajuwon's Rockets failed in 86, and it took him 8 years to get back to the pinnacle. And then they went back to back.
Yep.
I think in this quick reaction world we're living in, we often forget that failures make champions. And I think this Celtics team is a perfect embodiment of that. As Coach Joe Mazzulla said in his post-game presser, when he asked about past criticism, this is what he said: "You need it. You need criticism. You need praise. You need expectations. All those things go into making who you are as a person, making who you are as a people, and as an organization." That's what makes basketball champions champions. That's what made these Celtics basketball champions failures. And boy, has this team had them. I think we forget this team 4 years ago went 500 for a whole season and then got stomped by the trio of Nets stars, including Kyrie Irving, who they beat in this finals. In a playoff game, they started Tristan Thompson, Romeo Langford, and Evan Fournier.
Oof.
After that, the whole ecosystem of basketball operations was uprooted. Danny Ainge retired or stepped away. Ended up in Utah, of course. Brad Stevens quit coaching to take over. Ime was hired. But they still started that season 18-21. And Udoka was publicly calling out players all the time. Soft. Lack composure. Of course, they turned it around that season. Played 2 tough Game 7 series that probably shouldn't have gone 7 against Miami and Milwaukee. Jaylen and Tatum were horrendous in their own ways in the finals. They blew a 10-point lead in Game 4 of the fourth quarter and would lose 3 straight to Golden State. Following, Ime got fired. They hired a little-known assistant to head coach a few days before training camp and still finished second in the conference. They struggled through Atlanta in the first round. They barely made it through Philadelphia in the next. And then they took everything for granted and blew 3 games to Miami, collapsing in every single one, and then stormed back, only to fall 1 game short of a historic comeback. A Game 7 in which Tatum rolled his ankle and Jaylen copped up 8 turnovers. There were calls to break Jaylen and Tatum after that. Joe Mazzulla should be fired. The team doesn't have what it takes. But the front office went the other way. They traded their heart and soul, sold Brogdon and Williams, and acquired Porzingis and Holiday. Derek White was closing fourth quarters this year, instead of Smart, thank God. Tatum and Brown took less shots and became better distributors. Porzingis killed switching defenses. Holiday turned into the ultimate Swiss Army knife. They posted the 5th best net rating of all time for a regular season and entered the postseason with a good amount of doubters. I think you could count me as one, honestly. They can't win close games. Tatum and Brown aren't good enough. These are all the things we heard during the postseason. Can't trust Porzingis' health. They're not battle-tested. None of it mattered. They went 80-21 on the season, and now they're champions. This is a true basketball story, my friends, as old as the league itself. One of failure and progress. As Jaylen Brown said after the final victory, we've, him and Tatum, been through a lot. We've been playing together for 7 years now. We've been through a lot. The losses, the expectations. The media have said all different types of things. We can't play together. We're never going to win. We heard it all, but we just blocked it out, and we just kept going. I trusted him, he trusted me, and we did it together. That's the end of my speech.
There you go. Beautifully said, Chuck. Beautifully said. I completely agree. Sometimes to get success, most people need the failure.
Well, it's just like, over the course of NBA history, it's just, I was thinking about how it's surprising when we all jump. And this kind of goes, this is integral to the Mavs too, because, they lost this series.
Yeah.
Where we tend to jump on the people who have come up short and over and over again. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it takes a bunch of failures and learned experiences to get to get over the top.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of champions out there that have, just had a clean, easy path. It doesn't happen. It takes, especially for young guys like these two, it takes a lot of different kinds of growth and organizational growth. It takes player growth.
Yeah.
And I think just that's kind of what I'm proud of this team this year.
The growth.
The growth internally and, just even, like I said, the organization making the proper moves.
It's really impressive looking at those moves in retrospect.
Yeah.
Teams are so quick to fire their coaches. I feel like any other team would have hired this basically unknown, super young guy after, they sort of choked that season away, or however you want to describe it. But yeah, I agree with what you said. You got to learn from your mistakes and stick with the people who are going to learn from them too.
Yeah, I mean, years ago when I made a prediction that the Celtics will win the finals, it was a whole different look of a team. Kyrie was there.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward. They had all these picks still. Ainge and them not firing Brad Stevens and just promoting him to the front office. It's crazy.
It's kind of weird.
I didn't like the
weird.
move at first.
I
I was
know.
like, I kind of love Ainge as a GM. Brad Stevens going to the front office. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it worked out.
yeah, we don't.
Stevens made great moves this year.
Yeah, and it's almost like it took. I feel like it took both Ainge and Stevens because Ainge. I mean,
Yeah.
as we know, Jaylen and Tatum were in the Brooklyn
Yep.
trade.
And
KG.
shout out Billy Wood. What's his name?
Who?
Billy Holiday. I don't know.
Billy King.
Billy King,
Yeah.
the Nets GM who traded those picks.
Yeah. So that was those two guys, but Ainge also. It feels like he could have traded away this roster like 5 times. There were so many reports of Ainge sending
Anthony Davis,
Yeah.
Paul George. So many superstars linked to for
and
Brown and
it
Tatum.
never none of those ever came into being, but Brad was really aggressive in a different way. I mean, the Derek White trade in its own right. I mean, they stole that guy.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't that good of a shooter in San Antonio, but for the Celtics, he might be their best shooter.
Could be.
So it's I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect when Brad took over, but
Yeah.
I think he put a lot of beautiful finishing touches on the roster.
Oh yeah.
And did it smartly. It's not like they don't have they're not going to have any cap flexibility going forward, but they still have draft capital.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't just completely.
Yeah, it's not like one of these Minnesota or
future.
Phoenix scenarios where there's Bucks, where there's just nothing in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And they still got a
They can
year
still develop
out
through
of
the
these
draft.
players that they have now, right?
Yeah, everyone's back next year.
Yep.
So, yeah. You guys want to do just a couple regular finals old questions? Just we can quick shot them before we go.
Drop them
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Why did the Celtics win this series so convincingly?
Why?
I have a stat. I have
Long answer and a short answer.
One stat that I thought was fun.
Okay.
Possessions in transition, points per transition, 100 position transitions. On average, Celtics averaged 134 per 100 in transition. Dallas averaged 65.
Got killed in transition.
Killed in transition, killed on offensive and defensive rebounds somehow.
You think it's because Luka and Kyrie were always complaining to the refs and to get back on defense?
Yes. Probably, yeah.
All those other times.
Celtics have always been an elite
they're really good.
transition defense for the last couple years. I mean, and some of their offensive strategy helps them out. The fact that they shoot a lot of 3-pointers and they play 5 out.
Yeah. Easier to get back on D.
They only crash, but they did offensive rebounding.
They offensive rebounded really well. I feel like their little crafty guards were in there doing that too.
If you think about the way the matchup worked, you're drawing with the 5 out, you're drawing Dallas's bigs out of the paint, so they have to be on the perimeter. And that leaves openings for those guys who have to box out, who aren't ready to get all the rebounds.
Right.
Like it really makes it PJ Washington and Kyrie Irving's and people who aren't spectacular rebounds job to grab the rebound when
because those big guys, they can't get there as fast too.
Yeah. So that's, they crash only from the corners, and the rest of the guys they just do a fantastic job of getting back on defense.
Yeah. Yeah, Mavs, not so much.
You've got Luka does take himself out of plays all the fucking time. Happens so many times.
It drove me nuts. I'm like, you guys are already down in the series and you're still doing the same shit. It's just Tatum's leaking out for an easy dunk.
What was interesting is this was so convincing, and we can get to Tatum's play later, but I don't feel like he didn't even have to shoot well in this series.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And Porzingis not healthy for 4 games, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember arguing with a friend of mine leading into the series because a lot of people were heavy on the Mavs. Thought the Mavs would just come in and do their thing. And just,
It was more 50-50 than I thought.
it was a little 50-50, but a lot of people who I talked to about ball, like at work and stuff, they were just all in on what the Mavs were doing. And I'm like, I don't know. And this one guy told me, he was like, oh, the Mavs have 2 killers, man. I was like, Celtics have 5. They might not have been killers in previous years, but they're gonna kill these guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. You know, just people were just expecting Brown to come in and have a bad left again, and Tatum not be aggressive. And I'm just looking at them like Celtics have 5 great defenders. That's something the Mavs don't just have ready available for them.
Yeah,
and their best lineup.
And 5 shooters.
And 5
shooters, and they like to spread it and space it. And
yeah, I couldn't even actually believe how much of a mismatch it was.
Yeah.
Watching it. When did you guys? What? At what point did you just feel like this series is over?
It was over.
I think when Jaylen Brown and Derek White were blocking shots together.
That's a great point.
That was game 2.
It was game 2. It was definitely after game 2 for me.
Yeah.
Once they won game 2, I was like, "This is gonna be a gentleman's sweep or sweep." I don't see Dallas doing. I feel like that was their chance.
Yeah, I was sure of it 2 times.
Yeah.
Game 1 when Porzingis looked really good. I was like, this is over. But then his injury, I was like, oh, boy.
Here we go.
There was a renewed sense of, well, maybe.
I felt like they could take advantage of Horford. Like, and Horford, and then whoever's Horford's backup. But they really just, Al was great on switches this series.
Oh, really good.
He did a great job of staying in front of Luka. I don't know if that's because Luka's slow. Al had so much trouble with Indiana's small guards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he had trouble with Donovan Mitchell. Like, Mitchell was just torching him and Garland. So I was a little concerned, and then he has to play 35 minutes a night. That was scary, but it was a real testament to this team that they came in game 3 and won that road game.
Yeah.
And I think that third quarter in that game that's the best I've ever seen them play.
Yeah.
Of course they followed up with a near ultimate collapse as they just can't help themselves.
Of course.
But that, I guess you get a 20-point lead for a reason, and that's why.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think if Mavs had come back and won that game, and maybe if the refs had allowed a little more physicality, things are a tiny bit more up in the air.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Boston wins it maybe in 6, but
yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What do we make of that? Of Luka in that? That foul out.
That foul out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel bad for Luka. He started playing basketball at such a young age, and it's literally the only thing his brain is wired for.
Yeah. Or Overwatch.
And Overwatch. Yeah. So he's just in this incredibly competitive environment. He's the guy who yells about fouls. He's now known as the guy who complains too much. Jason Kidd probably yells at him. I feel like his fucking brains are scrambled, man.
According to is it Brian Windhorst, who totally ripped him on national television after the game and an epic rant, which I actually think is too harsh, but maybe we can get to that when we get to Luka's grade for the series.
Sure.
He's been complaining like this since he was 15, and all of his coaches have tried to talk to him
about it. I believe it. Now he's just on the national stage, like one of the faces of the league.
And he's not the only person. LeBron complains.
Oh, no, yeah.
LeBron complains.
You have to complain.
Yeah, everyone complains.
The tricky part is the getting back on defense thing is really bad. Like,
yeah.
You got to know when
it's the difference between complaining and throwing little tantrums.
Did we get Did they get the MVP right, Danny?
For
The Finals MVP.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Jokic for a second. I was like, no shot. You're asking me
They got
a
that one
Jokic
right. They got that one.
They got that
right.
one right.
Feels like kind of, yeah. Because see any one of these 5 guys.
That's kind of
Who's the worst Celtic, Danny,
Who's the worst Celtic?
in this series?
Well, let's get to that
You know
one.
what? I would have
Get to
given it
that
to
later.
Sam Hauser.
We'll get to who's the. But what did you think, Ben? Did
Yeah, you think they got it?
Jaylen got it right.
I don't see how it could go into anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think that the fact that I think you could have given 3 guys votes is pretty
Pretty cool.
and
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a good representation of this season for them because and I
Mhm.
think I said this year long. I never thought if they were going to win a championship, it was never going to be because Tatum is
Taking over.
ungodly.
Yeah.
Because I just don't believe he's necessarily on that level of a
Okay.
Jokic or he's a slot below
Yeah.
those top tier
The
guys.
next tier.
Yeah. So they were going to have to do it using the well-roundedness of the talent. And it's got to be, this has got to be a Drew game, or this has got to be a Jaylen quarter. This has got to be a Tatum half. Like you got,
Yeah.
this is the Porzingis half. We got all those little bits and pieces of each one of these players having a huge impact
Yeah.
over the course of the entire series. And that's really what allowed them to dominate. It's never, it was, I just never felt like it was going to be one person's greatness on this team because the way they built it was to mask deficiencies on some of their players,
Yeah.
skill sets.
Yeah.
And that's makes a great team.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm curious, Chuck, if you had just dropped in from outer space and you saw this Celtics team only this series, you didn't know anything about the players or their histories or whatever, who would you think was the team leader?
Do you get all the little clips do you get to watch all the clips of the players talking?
Like when they're mic'd
do you
up
get
and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I guess. Yeah.
No,
'cause
Only basketball.
I think Jaylen is unquestionably the leader of this team, and I love it.
Wow. All right.
I mean, I think they're both leaders. They're co-leaders, but Jaylen is the vocal leader of this team,
Yeah.
and I love the way he took over that mentality and put it on himself this year.
Yeah.
For Smart, who was kind of Marcus, who was the vocal leader before. And I think one of the criticisms always was you need one of your best players to be your vocal leader. Well, this year Jaylen turned into that, and I think it makes so much sense because he's a super vocal guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love he's the guy who's always out there playing with aggression, and I think it kind of bleeds into the troops. But I mean, it makes sense too because whenever he plays well, we're really, really, really tough to beat. Whereas I feel like sometimes when Tatum's playing awesome, it's because some other people aren't playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that was key for their, both of their growths. I wouldn't say like Tatum's not a leader, but he's more of a quiet leader.
Lead by example type
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think
My
the
pick
team-
would have been Sam Hauser, Ben.
Well, that's why I didn't ask you, Danny.
That was an open question to the floor.
No, it is, of course.
But-
I do think the team models Tatum's behavior too, in terms of composure and not getting rattled.
Yeah.
And that general vibe.
Yeah.
You want to do one more question and then we'll get to the
Yeah.
grades? One more
Let's do it.
All right. Anything Mavs could have done to alter the outcome of this year, even if just slightly?
Oof.
This was kind of a question I was briefly trying to think about in my profile of Jason Kidd. And I really don't know. I just feel like they were outclassed.
Yeah, in a way. What do you think, Danny? Or was, like you said earlier, the talent advantage was just too much? Because it's just hard when you're throwing out, like we went over in our preview. If you look at the top, what do you want to say, 8, 10 players in this series, only like 2, or maybe you could throw in a third Mav, but it's mostly Celtics up there.
Celtics, yeah. What can they have done differently? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, like who would that third Mav even be?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe just go small and try to go crazy on offense.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll get into the individual players.
We can go into grades.
In our next segment.
Gritty.
Do you remember your report card?
The No Shots podcast is brought to you by Dank Delish Coffee. Whether you need a jolt on the way to the office or in relax mode in the afternoon, Dank Delish Coffee is the only quality bag of Colombian home roasted beans that hits the spot just right. Roasted locally in Queens, New York, you can find Dank Delish coffee beans at dankdelish.com and have their deliciousness shipped right to your lovely abode. Start your morning with a cup of Delish. Why not? It's time to go to school.
We're taking you back
Class
to school.
is now in session.
Class is now in session. And guess what? Pop quiz.
Oh, pop quiz?
No, I'm just joking.
No? What's the quiz?
No, I got done. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, man.
Surprise exam.
All right, so we're going to hand out some grades for players and benches and maybe even a couple old men.
Couple
who are on the
old
sidelines.
men,
Well, I
former
guess
players.
Well, one of them's not that old.
One of them's younger than Horford.
Yeah, one of them is younger than us.
Oh, man. And less bald.
Oh,
Yeah.
True.
True.
A real victory for the Balds out there with
yeah.
Derek White.
Huge
Derek
victory
White.
for
Well,
the
not Jake
Balds.
Kidd, but all the other Balds. For sure. Big victory.
No, they got there.
Straight bald and on the court.
They did get there. That is a win.
It is.
That is a win.
All right. How do we want to do this? In what order are we going to do these grades?
We're going round robin
Let's
style.
go round robin.
Okay.
But who wants to go first?
I have an order, but we can keep
can
it secret.
Pick whoever you want.
Yeah, I think you could pick
Okay.
whoever you
Pick
want.
whoever. I don't
Let's
yeah.
start.
I'm just going to go in the order, but send it to me. Who wants to start? I'll start, baby.
Start.
Nose goes.
Those goes,
I
baby.
am the slowest with the noses goest. All right. We got a few grades to hand out. The first person I'm starting with a grade is one Drew Holiday
Oh, Drew
of
Holiday.
the Boston
I'm not a system player.
Celtics.
I am.
Drew. Make me Drew my holiday. All right, I'm giving him an A. I mean, not much to it. He was just terrific defense all series long. That's what you want from Drew. He was constantly, like a few other Celtics, crashing the boards, getting perfectly timed rebounding.
Yeah, he averaged 7.4 rebounds in the series.
Yeah,
That's a little nuts.
pretty fucking good. Yeah, just great defense the whole series, and that's mostly what I'm basing this A on. You're guarding Kyrie and Luka out there. It's gonna be tough. Who else he guarded? Like PJ Washington on switches.
Yeah, I mean, he does everything.
He did a little bit of everything.
He's the also ultimate Swiss Army knife.
Swiss
That's what
Army
I call-
knife. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
yeah.
just put him on anyone, and he really speaks to the versatility of this team. Also, that
Hit big shots.
game 2,
Game 2.
like
22?
yeah, I think it was 20. It was 26. I think. Let's
Oof.
look at it here.
Yeah, scored in bunches when they need him to.
26 in game 2.
Huge game
It was
2.
he had a double-double, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 26 points.
Yep.
So he came up huge there. Yeah, I mean, he shot 53% from the field and
Yeah.
42% from 3 this series. So
Yeah. I mean,
I- couldn't say enough. And he's a real game changer for this team. I mean, him
Yeah.
in the Marcus spot. I mean, the ball would always find Marcus Smart.
yeah.
And just, I loved Marcus, but
Me too.
not a great shooter.
Nope.
Not a
the-
reliable, and turnovers too.
Yeah, decision maker.
Yeah.
Great player, but just when it comes down to those those big moments in
Yep.
a playoff series, in a playoff
Yeah.
game.
So the ball finding him, and he was great in the dunker spot. Like the game that Tatum had 12 assists.
Yeah.
A lot of those were because he was sneaking around
Yeah.
in the dunker spot, and when the help drew to Tatum, it's just a little quick
Little
pass.
dump off to Drew Holiday.
So I like the way they do that dunker spot thing. That they put a guard down there. It really makes the opponent put a small guy in the help position
Yeah.
there, which it's not quite enough help when it's Kyrie Irving there.
Yeah.
Created some good rotations. So love Drew. Wouldn't have been there without Drew here.
Yep. Drew, I mean, yeah. Come on, I expected it, and he was great. He was everything I expected. Hey. Hey. Passing grade.
No disagreements.
It's much better than passing.
All right, who's next?
Is it me? Is that the way this goes?
Yeah, let's do clockwise.
Okay,
Go
sure.
ahead.
Clockwise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you started with. I guess we're starting with some. All right, I'll jump over here and I'll take a Mav here. PJ Washington. I gave him a C plus.
Okay.
Again, he was their third leading scorer, 10.8 points per game. So that was their third leading scorer. It's 10.8 points a game. Shot at 40% from the field and 27% from 3. I think you could make a case this is either too high or too low for him.
Mhm.
But the fact is, the way that the Celtics guarded those corners, and I have those corner stats here. Where did I bet? Dallas shot 13% of their shots from corner threes in the first 3 rounds. They shot 5.7% of their shots from the corners in the finals. That's his spot. So they essentially nullified him. So he either has to shoot from the wing or make plays driving to the basket, which is just not his skill set.
No.
So he was forced to do a lot of things that he just didn't quite have the talent for. So I can't ding him too hard for, shooting as poorly as he did, but also didn't really have an impact on the series whatsoever. So, but out of all their role players, he was as reliable as it gets for them, if we want to compare to DJJ. So give him a C plus.
Oh, yeah, I'm not mad at that. I think anything lower would have been maybe a little harsh. Or like a D. I mean, it would have been maybe a tiny bit harsh, but definitely
I don't
not
think he
B.
like.
if you're the third highest scorer on.
He just looked out. He needed to be less of a big role than. Like he was not put in the right position.
No.
To succeed here. And that's just roster construction and the fact that the Mavs didn't have anyone else. So
yeah.
But if you judge it off, his OKC series, maybe this is a downgrade. But I just
Yeah,
felt like what
it
the
is.
Celtics did to him was, kind of cruel.
Well,
messed
none
up.
of their big role players really looked comfortable out there,
Yeah.
especially offensively.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ben.
Okay. Hopping back to the Celtics, I have Derek White. And I gave him an A-. I feel like he was a little quieter in this series amidst the brilliance of his teammates, but he's still shown in big moments. And he played the role he was supposed to play. He gave us huge moments, like a huge block in Game 2 with help from Jaylen. Big threes on the perimeter, his bread and butter, and steals.
I mean, he
Just was an energizer.
hit that big 3 in Game 3 when
Mhm.
Drew drove. It was a 2-point game, or maybe it was a 1-point game, and that gave him some separation there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When everything looked like it was, just
looked like it
falling
was
apart.
collapsing.
That block on Lively in Game 5 was absurd.
Yeah.
They both jumped at the same. He's a quick jumper. They both jumped at the same time. That guy is 7 foot, and he is 6'4",
Yeah.
and he blocked the guy at the rim.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
I don't
absurd.
understand it.
I don't understand it either. And of course, the teeth. How could we not
The
forget of
teeth.
it? That's
He
one of the
broke- yeah.
iconic moments. Is his teeth.
A chip for a chip.
A chip for a chip.
There was another in Game 3. He did a full court little outlet to Tatum to cut the lead in that early quarter where they were down by a bunch. I think they could have won without him probably, and his mid-range game was a little bit down from other series.
Mhm.
But none of it really mattered.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the tooth.
I think they need him for a lot of reasons that just don't show up on stat sheets.
Yeah.
Like, he is, in the essence, is the point guard of the team. And I know Tatum does a lot of the ball handling duties.
Yeah.
But he is a really good organizer and just another smart cutter. And I feel like the spacing that he it requires to defend a player like him. Like, you just can't leave him open at all. He's
Yeah.
so dangerous
Yeah.
from 3. I mean, he shot just about 40% here for the series.
Mhm.
So, it wasn't one of those, Derek White looks like an all-star series or like a couple games because he has those stretches in him, but it was the perfect perfect role player series from him.
Yeah, it really was.
So, yeah,
And those rebounds. Timely rebounds. Derek White as well.
And he guarded Kyrie for 100
Yeah.
possessions.
yeah.
Yeah, did pretty good job. We'll get to Kyrie in a few.
I thought he did a good job on Luka too, despite the size disadvantage. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's just no stopping Luka anyway. But yeah, I have no disagreements there.
Nope. Me neither. All right, moving on. Back
Next up,
to Duck. Next up, we're going to go with, we're going to switch things up. We're going to go with the Mavs bench.
Oh,
whoa,
Where we got the Dallas Mavericks bench, which, for the most part, besides the garbage time games and minutes, they went with 4 guys off the bench. Lively, Kleba, Tim Hardaway Jr., and who the fuck else?
Exum?
And Dante Exum, yeah. He got more
Josh
minutes
Green?
than... Josh Green. Josh Green, yeah.
He had a game.
Yeah, Exum actually, was probably the 5th guy, if anything. Exum or Kleba. But yeah, Josh Green had a big game. What, game 5 or 4?
Ooh, yeah, maybe 4.
Game 5, he came out and if he didn't
was
hit those 3 threes in the first half, that would have been even
bigger blowout.
Yeah, in the first quarter, it would have been over in the first quarter if he didn't hit those shots.
Yep. That is why, Exum had like a couple plays, more turnovers than buckets.
Yeah.
Kleba, I love me some Kleba. We all do. All 3 of us. We are high on Maxi Kleba, this podcast.
Sure.
But yeah, he just once he got switched to like Brown and like even when Drew, had the ball and he got switched to Drew, it's just like couldn't do too much out there. And he's at times a good perimeter defender.
He was kind of unwilling to shoot, from what I remember.
And it's because he was so bad shooting coming into this.
Yeah, and he had the injury,
shoulder
like a weird
injury,
shoulder thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looked
So he had
unconfident.
a little bit of yips. Yeah, it probably bled to him being a little unconfident defensively. Who's the other guy? Tim Hardaway Jr. He was all right. He was there.
Yeah.
He was
Not very good.
I mean, just unplayable until
Yeah.
that. He hadn't hit a shot in like a month until I think it was game maybe 3 in garbage time.
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't garbage time in game 3. It was game 4. He came alive a little bit, but that was in garbage time.
Yeah. This is why I'm giving the Mavs bench. I mean, I really wanted to give it a C because Josh Green had some good moments there, but I'm giving him a D+.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a D+. Just not the best collection of guys, especially to play whatever the Celtics had going out there.
Yeah.
But, they could have been a little better,
Just
man.
didn't make an impact.
Didn't make an impact.
Even
besides Green's big game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could have. Well, that bleeds into coaching a bit, I feel like, but I'll save it for when Kid comes up. I'll save it for when Kid comes up.
Fair enough.
But I just none of those guys came in and made an impact, and the ones who did,
It was too little, too late.
too little, too late. Lively had a
Yeah, Lively. It was pretty good.
good energy. He looked really out of sync the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Just looked like the moment was too big for him. He's 20
He's a
years
rookie.
old.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's gonna be good though.
Yeah.
Lively,
Seriously.
he's gonna be real good.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's a D. That's fine. I'm fine with that. D+.
D+.
Okay, here. I'll jump to quick one here. I'll go to Horford here.
Your guy.
I gotta just give my guy an A.
A for Al.
He shot 53% from 3.
Whew.
47% from the field. Just the way that I didn't think him stepping in for Porzingis would be so seamless this whole series.
Yeah.
When Porzingis went down, we were able to survive. I thought he did a great job guarding Luka on switches and even Kyrie on switches. We didn't get mashed on the boards when he was in there. And he had some big muscly plays. Like in game 5, there was one where he was sort of trapped in the corner and he just muscled Lively into the paint for a bucket.
Yeah.
You just forget that this guy, used to have all these, post moves and can dribble a bit and and it just came out. And there's times where he looked a little old, everyone on the Celtics looked a bit slow in game 4, but I think his leadership and honestly him just being there and being old and being second on the list of playoff games played without a championship and the guys loving him, I think that helped motivate them all.
Oh yeah.
They all said, "This one's for Al."
This one's for Al.
So I not his best series of all time, but
No.
just did another
Solid.
guy who just did exactly
job,
what you
yeah.
needed from him. So A for Al.
A
A for Al. Shout mi Dominicanos. Que lo que.
No argument
I
there.
didn't see much tears from Al.
No, he held it in. He held it in.
Kept his composure.
Yeah. He didn't want to be known as crying Al, maybe, Maybe he's just in shock. You just can't. You never know how you're going to process those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Tatum was pretty teary.
Oh man, he was shocked.
Yeah.
Just shocked.
Yeah.
Just doubled over.
Yep.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yep. Who you got, Buck?
From Derek to Derek. Jones Jr., that is. 6.6 PPG, 2.8 RPG, 0.6 assists. Not much to see here, folks. I think the Celtic defense, not doubling, whatever, no open corner 3 opportunities. Tough for him to get his little highlight lob dunks. He played some decent defense on guys like Tatum and Horford, but Brown, Holiday, and White all shot upwards of 50% when he was guarding them. I mean, I can't blame him too much for just being the player that he is.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
a guy with his skill set just isn't going to cut it in this series. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
Big thing.
so it's very similar to what you said for Lively. I gave him a D.
Yeah.
For Derek.
I mean, he was a big weakness out there for them. Like, it was so obvious. And you know what? He came in on a minimum contract.
Yep.
He had one of his best years as a pro.
Mhm.
It's great, but he can't be in your starting lineup in a finals game against specifically this team.
Yeah.
It was just too, they just game planned those guys out of the mix for the Mavs.
Yep.
You're not getting your easy corner threes.
Or easy lobs.
Yeah, and easy lobs, and their lack of offensive versatility around Kyrie and Luka really hurt them in this series.
Mhm.
And he's a big part of that, which is why I might have wanted to see a little more Josh Green.
Yep. Josh Green or my guy.
I'll get to that in the Jason Kidd
Jaylen
section.
Jaylen Hardy. I was trying to remember that guy's name. I knew that's who you were talking
Me too.
about.
That's why I dramatic pause just now.
My guy.
He's not even my guy.
Who you got next?
He's never been my guy.
Who you got next, D?
Oh, who we got next? All right, so I did a Holiday, did Mavs bench. Let's keep it with the Mavs. Let's talk one of my tecayos. Same name, Daniel Gafford.
Ooh.
Tecayo.
Big man Gafford. I mean, yeah, he did all right,
Mhm.
Considering the Celtics game plan, he didn't play too much. They kept going with Lively as well.
And sometimes Kleba.
Instead. Yeah, they kind of have a revolving door at the big man spot. He didn't play the worst. He definitely did not play his best, though. And for that, I'm just going to give him a good old-fashioned C.
Now that's a passing grade.
Good old-fashioned C. Passing grade. I don't think it was his fault that he didn't have, big games. But just, the matchups weren't great for him coming in. Because, the Celtics would get switches on him on the perimeter.
Yeah.
You didn't want him there. So that's why they wanted Kleba or Lively instead. And, he doesn't have bad stats on the box scores. His numbers aren't horrible, so I felt like initially I was going to give him a D.
Yeah.
And I was just going to give all the Mavs I had D.
It's that constant trend of just the Celtics game planned him out of it.
Perfect game plan execution by the Celtics, and the Mavs just couldn't have a counter.
There's one thing that he's really good at, and they just said, no, you're not
going to do that. Yeah, you're not doing that.
So can't fault him. You can fault the ecosystem of the Mavs for not being able to figure out other ways, but it came down to the talent that they had. So
so that's why I give him a C. Took it a little. Decided not to be too mean and let him pass the next grade.
Fair. You're not gonna hold him back.
Not gonna hold him back. He's got the same name as me. Continue forward.
Yeah.
all right. I'm gonna throw. Let's do it. Missoula. Let's go with Joe.
Coach
Joe.
Baby.
I just gotta give him, and it's kind of a year grade. This guy's an A+.
Whoa.
He's an awesome basketball coach, and he's a fucking weirdo. They didn't really have to make a lot of adjustments in this series, I felt like. But the game plan was just excellent. Limit corner threes, make Luka and Kyrie work on defense, attack, which was clearly part of the game plan. I mean, both Tatum and Jaylen drove more in this series than they've ever driven in their entire life.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum drives, let's just look at this. Regular season, 9 a game. Playoffs, 13 a game. Finals, 19 a game.
Wow. 19.
So they know, they knew what to do. They attacked it. And, so they stuck. It was a really awesome game plan. They didn't have to make many adjustments. So I can't really grade him on that. But I'm happy he stuck with Hauser after a horrendous series versus Indiana. He didn't have a good game 2 either, really, in this series. But he made an impact in that first half in game 5.
Mm-hmm.
Hauser did. And they were so comfortable with Hauser out there, even just switching onto Luka and Kyrie at times.
Yeah.
So I just think he knew this team really. He came back with, a whole new staff this year, knew this team really well. He put Tillman in over Cornette in game 3. I think that was a much better decision. And yeah, I thought he called timeouts at good times. He was able to rally the troops when they needed it. And I mean, I just think he's going to turn into a really good basketball coach if he's not already. So, I mean, he did awesome this series. How can you blame him? A+.
Super impressed by Missoula. Really,
Yeah.
no dissent from what you said.
So
Yeah, I agree. A+ for Missoula.
all right, you up, Ben?
Didn't know if he had in him going into it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah, go
he
ahead.
does. But yeah, I know it was a big question last
Yeah.
year because I probably was on the side. Maybe we should get someone a little more experienced in
Yeah.
here. But they filled out the bench with an experienced
Yeah,
step.
I think that
Charles Lee,
helps.
who's going to
Yeah.
be the coach of the Hornets next year.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Cassell, who's
Mhm.
now a 2-time champion with the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
So, I think that helped him out, but I think you can really, see some of his mentality in the players this year more so. And a lot of Jaylen's leadership really felt like a sort of a watering down effect from Missoula
From
up
Joe.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I think he challenged them, and I love his mentality over like what did he say? Sometimes he said praise is just as dangerous as criticism, which is like perfect for this team because
Yeah.
they get in their own head, and I felt like that sort of just keep playing message sort of helped them out. And if we're gonna look at him comparatively to say Ime, I just think offensively, this team looks so much better under him than it ever did under Ime. Now they have better parts, but I felt like some of the offensive organization that they displayed in this series was just, sort of his mind working. So, hey, props to Joe.
From the coach to the bench. The Celtics bench. Which was basically 3 guys, barely. Tillman, Hauser, and Pritchard. Hauser we discussed with very brief appearances by O'Shea Brissett, Luke Cornette, and Svi Mikhailiuk.
Garbage time.
No, I don't think anyone had a singular, huge impact, but commendable performances all around. Pritchard had the series clinching shot in
We knew
game
it.
5.
He didn't play a minute in the first half before that shot.
No, that was for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
He got a couple of seconds of
Crazy.
playing time.
He's a half-court specialist.
Half-court
really is.
specialist. Tillman hit 100% of his threes, of which he shot 1 in
Yeah.
game 3.
That was a big one. Stretched the league
Yeah.
out to 13 there.
For an incredibly efficient 300 points per 100. we didn't see a lot of their bench, obviously, but they had the versatile depth that they needed when they needed it, I think. And they had those memorable plays. Their grade, I think, caps out because the starters did such a good job. But yeah, in each of the games, one of their bench guys was above the 90th percentile in offensive rebounding.
Yeah.
Shows effort. They're buying in. Playing hard. That's pretty much all I got to say. B+.
B+, yeah.
Bench plus.
Bench plus.
Because Pritchard was, he, besides those 2 shots, really struggled in this series.
Yeah.
And I thought Hauser actually, he didn't have a good game 2, but Hauser was phenomenal on defense. And, the fact that he could play in this postseason series, and I know it's because of the talent around him, the fact that, he had an easier time of it than, PJ Washington is kind of crazy because, and I think I love when everyone tries to attack Hauser because he's not a great defender, but he's not a bad defender.
Yeah. It just seems like
You just assume
He's big.
You just feel
He's
like
big.
he's a bad
Yeah, he's
defender.
bigger than you think.
So,
Interesting.
an X-Man, and that was a great game 3. They kind of exposed him in game 4, but that's, if you can help win one game, that's impressive for a guy who doesn't play all that much. So they put him on. They used him instead. Joe said that they used him instead of Cornette because he had played Luka a bunch of times as a Grizzly.
As a Grizzly, yeah. Makes sense.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Cornette's just fucking
well, this
jumping in
was
the
not
air
his
when
series.
he's 20 feet away.
Yeah, this was not his series.
No, it wasn't. Shout out Luke, though. He's got a ring.
Shout out Cornet Pizza.
Yeah, giant slice.
Giant
Like a
slices.
giant Luke.
Yeah.
Fucking...
All right,
Alright.
who you got, Danny?
Wait, who was that you just graded?
The bench of the
Celtics
series.
bench.
Oh, yeah, B+, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm writing down your grades, too.
Oh, smart.
Yep, we go back and laugh at this one day, guys. Anyways, who I got next? Let's have a have a reunion of sorts. Reunion of sorts. The deciding factor to make me believe that the Dallas Mavericks was gonna win a championship was them getting Kristaps Porzingis.
It's just wrong.
Shortly before, my brother gave me a Kristaps Porzingis 2K statue, a little figurine,
Oh.
when he was on the Knicks, and he got traded a week later. So it's only right. He was banged up, didn't play, didn't look great out there the last game, but it doesn't matter. He came in game 1, scored 20 points in that first half, or pretty much, and was just lights out. Revenge series. This is my narrative now. I'm the owner of these finals for that first half.
But basically.
Oh,
He
man.
did his job.
He was awesome in that first game.
He was great
That-
in that first game.
This
Great
series,
vibes.
The series wasn't close, but if we had Porzingis, it wouldn't.
Oh,
It was this
sweep.
sweep.
Yeah, it would have been sweet.
I mean, you
Easy.
can never.
Never
I mean,
know.
You
Yeah.
never
know,
know. You get
but-
a game.
He got a rare injury.
Yeah. What's
Yep.
that called? It's
We all
a
learned about a new body part.
it's a torn medial retinaculum.
A torn MRC
Yeah.
or whatever.
Allowed a dislocation of the posterior. I keep getting pop up ads. Posterior tibialis tendon.
Yeah.
Will require surgery. He's going to be out. Recovery process will take a few months. Luckily, he's out. He
Yeah,
is the first
getting
Latvian to ever win
NBA
an
championship.
NBA championship.
Yep, and because he was so
Suck it,
great
Luka,
in
No,
that
he's not
first
Latvian.
game,
by the way.
and they lost the game. One of the games he didn't play, even though he looked a little stiff, he still had some big blocks in those.
He
Yeah.
played enough well. I mean, I think they really needed him in that game 5
Yeah.
because I feel like Dallas had figured out Tillman. And just any kind of minutes he could have give to relieve Horford from having to play 40
was huge.
Was just huge.
Huge. And he did his job defensively at the very least, you know?
Yeah.
Hit a couple
and
shots.
the Mavs sort of, it felt like they hung around in the first half when he came in. That's when they got those couple of Josh Green threes. But in the second half, I thought he was he finished with a +8 for the game. So I thought, yeah, he was great. What was your grade, Danny?
So because of all of that, he's getting an A-, baby.
A-.
Aced it. I mean, come on. I mean, the only game they lost, he didn't play in.
Come on.
Well, they were.
Now redeems Phil Jackson as a Knicks GM for drafting him.
That's the bottom line here.
That's how it all comes full circle.
Yes, he's been injury prone. He tore his ACL. He was hurt for most of his tenure with the Mavs. He was hurt that 1 year with the Wizards. He got hurt in this series, but it didn't matter.
Yep.
Phil Jackson was right.
Phil Jackson came back. Ain't no coaching me.
Anyways, A- for Porzingis.
Yep, can't argue. Glad to see him out there. He's been such a happy, smiley guy around.
Great vibes.
Yes.
Great vibes.
Him and Jaylen have such a broship.
Yeah, they're bros.
All right. I don't have any more Kristaps thoughts. I'm just so happy he was there.
Yeah,
Me too.
The No Shots podcast is brought to you by Dank Delish Coffee. You can find Dank Delish coffee beans at dankdelish.com and have their deliciousness shipped right to your lovely abode. Start your morning with a cup of delish.
Okay. Next here.
Who you got?
what you got, Chuck?
I've only got two left here. I'm gonna go with let's talk over Jaylen, the MVP.
Getting to the Jays.
Yeah, getting to the Jays. Jaylen, I mean, what can you say? This guy, we kind of already went over it, but just the emotional leader of this team in a way that really propelled them. I mean, he only shot, 23.5% from three, 44% from the field. He was, pretty. Only bad game was that game 4, which everyone had a bad game that game, but 5 assists, which is big part of this whole run is him improving as a playmaker.
Yeah,
And as and ball control, really. He had 14 total turnovers. His kind of mentality and guarding Luka. Let's see, where is this? He defended Luka Doncic for 154 possessions. Dallas scored 131 points on those possessions. That's an 84.8 offensive rating. That's dismal.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's
pretty bad.
That's why, if we're gonna say why he deserved the MVP, is because now Tatum makes a lot of those, defensive possessions work, but the way he fought around screens and was just, dogging Luka the whole game.
Took on the challenge.
Yeah. And in game 3, he hit, there was a couple big shots in that fourth quarter, but he hit one of the bigger ones. It was 2 points, and that stretched the lead to 4 at the end there. So I don't know what you can say, that dunk in that game 3 too at the end.
Yeah.
The third quarter.
Yeah, him dribbling right into Luka to foul him out.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Beautiful basketball.
So I give Jaylen an A. I think he should have gained a lot of attention and notoriety from this series, because I'm not sure he should be left off an all-NBA team again. He's too good, and he plays too many games. He plays all the games.
Yeah.
That's a special feature of this team is, those two guys, the Jays, they play every game, basically. So,
what was your favorite thing that Jaylen did on the court in this series?
I mean, game 1 when he was like stealing from Luka in the backcourt. That there was one where he just picked him clean,
Yeah.
and got a dunk. That was one of my favorites. Of course, the game 3 dunk at the end there. That like those are a couple of signature moments. But really, just I mean, the defense, the mentality to just take that on, and
Yeah.
I think the team really just followed his lead. So he's an A plus for me. A. I think he could have, maybe shot. I think they both, he was firing up some hero ball shots at the beginning of game 5, but he settled in. He settled in. So, I can't say enough. I don't have words. So, just a beautiful series. I can't believe how far he's come in his career. Because he was just an athletic guy, coming out of college. They booed at the Celtics draft night, they booed the pick.
Yeah.
People wanted Chris Dunn.
Oh, yeah.
The Providence guy. The Providence guy.
Providence.
These fickle fans.
Yeah. But, they saw in him something that not a lot, that did not get a great grade, that pick, but he's just come such a long way. Like the only thing he had coming out of college was supreme athleticism, and to learn the amount of skill that he's learned is just amazing. So he deserves all the cred.
Yeah.
A.
I agree. All right, what we got, Buck?
Moving on with the Jays, we've got Jason Kidd.
You gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me. No, the GOAT, really. Well, I think we talked a lot about already what kind of adjustments could Kidd have made with the personnel on hand. Probably there weren't many. I liked his little mind game when he said Jaylen was the best player on the Celtics. It had no effect, and then he denied that he was playing mind games. So that was funny.
That's when you knew they were in trouble.
Yeah.
I
big
really,
trouble.
following the quotes in this series, I felt a certain way where it felt like the Mavs in those first couple of games were just really just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you've got Kidd playing these mind games. It's like after game 1, after game 1,
right.
You guys must be fucked.
Well, you have to give him credit for getting the team there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
outplayed some awesome teams in the West. I mean, they avoided Denver, but even so, they beat the team that beat Denver, who were inexperienced and had problems of their own. But still, they're in the finals. I'm sure they're going to be able to make another deep run. I just would have liked to see a little more creativity, experimentation, and a little more feistiness from Kidd, honestly.
Pizzazz.
Maybe that's not who he is on the sideline, but show your team that you're fighting for them. On the other hand, like you said, they're playing with house money, so
Yep.
I can't fault him too much as a coach. I think he did what he thought was best, and I gave him a B- because they lost.
I think.
Okay.
I think I would have dinged him a little harder.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was between B- and C-, but go on.
Yeah.
I would have dinged him a little more just because in that crucial game 3, it's like he didn't know who to play. It was 11 guys. He played 11 guys.
Yeah.
Usually you shorten your rotation. And I do think there's a couple things that he could have done. Like, I
what do you
think
think?
Derek Lively was much more effective than Gafford. I would have given him a few more minutes because at least Derek Lively can make a pocket pass out of the roll. He's got just a few more skill sets, and I know they played Lively a bunch more.
Yeah, they
than
did play him
Gafford,
a little bit more than Gafford.
but I just start him.
Yeah,
Just
at that
start
point,
him.
yeah.
Start him.
Yeah.
I think Exum needed to play more. He's the only other guy who's a ball handler, and I think you saw he's got speed. I know he's not a perfect player. He's not the best shooter, but they really needed a guy, especially they got like PJ Washington bringing up the ball and Derek Jones Jr. bringing up the ball. those, the Celtics were able to put pressure on those guys. It was hard for them to bring up the ball. All of a sudden, that's 7 seconds off the shot clock. Exum would get the ball up the court faster. And I just think it takes a little bit of a load. I know they want to be sort of slow and set up a matchup for Luka and Kyrie, but I feel like Exum could have provided something, but he had kind of just buried him in the last series.
Yeah.
And then I think Josh Green should have started over Derek Jones Jr. The Celtics are just getting what they want offensively sort of anyway. Josh Green provided some spark, some offensive rebounds at times that I felt PJ and DJJ were just not grabbing. So I would have taken Derek Jones Jr. out of it because I just, I don't know. I liked his energy in the series. So those are 3 things, but, it's hard to work from a talent disadvantage the way they were, but you got to be a little bit more confident in what you're doing. I just, the 11 guys, I don't know. I don't think there's anything like strategical that could have changed this series for the Mavs.
Yeah,
but
different looks,
I do
different
think,
bodies.
Would you think of a Spoelstra team, like one of these recent Heat teams that plays somewhat under talent level, above their talent level?
Yeah.
And he'll just throw out these lineups and be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna have utmost confidence in this player."
Yeah.
Who could go off, and then sometimes they do.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit searching. Like I'm searching
I'm searching
right,
for that
splitting
guy.
the difference. Yeah,
I know things weren't working, so it makes sense to search. But there are a few things that he's stuck with that I don't quite agree with, and some of the things that why put in when Luka fouls out, you put in Tim Hardaway Jr. who hasn't hit a shot in a month. I just don't get it. So. They're not huge things. Like they wouldn't have swung the series, but
no.
I just felt like he could have been a little more confident in his rotations. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm also, one last question. As a coach, if you have players like Kyrie and Luka especially, who's a young guy, can you have a conversation with them and tell them to get back on defense? Or is he just too big of a star?
I think you should be able to. I think that's why, I think that's, one of the reason Coach Joe is such a good coach is, you have to be able to, say, hey, we're, you can't do this. I mean, you have to do it in a way that is, good messaging.
It's going to resonate.
But
yeah,
that's the tough thing.
I don't know. I'm sure that they've talked to him about that stuff. I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
And, he might just not be responsive to it.
Yeah.
That's perfectly possible.
Yep.
I'm curious how their relationship is, I guess.
Probably good, right?
I think
It doesn't seem bad. I think he likes Kid. Bad. Yeah.
Apparently the rumor he didn't get along with Carlisle towards the end. So it seems like he's getting along with Kid just fine. Kid's, he's been there before too. So
yeah, true.
But yeah. Okay, moving on.
Next?
I'm next?
Yeah.
My last grade. My last letter grade I'll be handing out this semester.
What subject do you teach?
I teach arithmetics.
Arithmetics.
Good thing. Okay.
Not arithmetics.
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 Bum, 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 bum.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah,
My last student of the game would be Kyrie Irving.
Oh,
Kyrie. Kyrie. Kobe, KD, Kyrie, pick a K.
Pick a K. Ganja burn.
Kyrie. I mean, I'm not going to be too harsh on Kyrie, but I'm going to be harsh. I mean, he just wasn't super efficient. A lot of times he had like good looks, and they were just not going in for him. I mean, he was dealing with that great Celtics defense.
And that Celtics crowd.
And that Celtics crowd didn't shave the court enough, Kyrie, before playing on it? Not enough sage for you this year? Not enough, I'm not doing the joke.
He
I'm
wasn't
gonna do it.
fasting.
The
This
curse
time,
of
right?
Lucky.
Yeah,
The lucky
he never should have
curse.
stomped on Lucky.
How dare he? Yeah, I'm giving Kyrie a D.
Ooh.
Flat D,
Could be
Hey,
worse.
You need
could be
your
worse.
you need your stars to show up
You need your stars
Especially
to show up
when your team is built around only 2 stars.
around you being a star. And yeah, and he just didn't show up a lot of times. And, at times he was trying his hardest. He really... I didn't have too much of a problem with him defensively, surprisingly.
They didn't actually they
didn't?
they didn't quite attack him one-on-one. They attacked him in that dunker spot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and which,
it was more so they took advantage of his
help.
size that way and his
Yeah.
help defense, but they didn't take advantage of I
Him
didn't think they
one-on-one.
they didn't just go straight at him. And of course the Mavs really, I think more so than Luka, tried to not let that happen.
Yeah, definitely. So that was a thing. He had the one game they won. He had a really good game, of course. So that's why it probably wasn't just an F. But yeah, I mean, just not just need a couple more buckets in those
Yeah.
closer
Well,
games.
I'll
from
tell you
Kyrie.
what. Kyrie in Boston was an F.
Yep.
He was
Fair.
18 of 58 in Boston, 33% and 14.3 points per game. At
Really bad.
home, he shot 50% and scored 21 and 35 in 2 games.
See,
So-
that's not bad.
He was good.
Yeah, that's what gets him the D. That's what
Yep.
takes him up a grade.
But
But not passing, Kyrie. So I will see you back here next year,
Yeah.
next semester.
It's really just because their team, it revolves around those 2 guys just being awesome. You can't have one of them just not be awesome
Yeah,
and be bad
it's just that simple.
for 3 of the games.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, what'd you guys think of his nice embraces at the end there with all the Celtics players? Was that nice?
I didn't see
Well,
that.
he
I'm gonna be
stayed
honest.
until the last.
Yeah, when he was getting
Maverick
subbed out,
left.
he dapped up everyone, which
Yeah, I mean, I think he just is tired of being booed.
I know he is.
Yeah.
You can tell.
He's a positive guy now.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, his transformation. It's
he did do a 180 on the character change, if you will, for
Yeah.
a lot of people.
But this is good. He should play basketball. That's what he's good at, and I'm happy that we got to see him. I enjoyed
Yeah.
Kyrie a lot this year. I also really enjoyed that we beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah, best
Yeah.
of both worlds, really.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree.
Salute to Kyrie.
I think you could maybe push it up to a C minus, but that's about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did y'all-
And whenever you want to come on the pod, Kyrie, we're open to hear you out.
Got a spot for you right here.
Yeah,
on the
spot right
bench.
next
Charles's
to
bed.
engineer
Charles.
Ben.
Yeah.
What were you
Right,
gonna say,
well,
Ben?
Oh, do you guys see what Bronny James posted on his Twitter?
No.
Oh, I saw that picture. Oh my god, this is just stupid.
It's Kyrie and Luka with him and LeBron in Mavericks uniforms for our
Yeah.
listeners.
Ronnie James just trolling us.
Yeah, he's trolling
Those
us for
media
sure.
outlets, they want
Because then
to
there's
go
another
everywhere.
picture of them on the Lakers together, so who fucking
Oh my
knows?
gosh.
Yeah.
Any more words on Kyrie?
No,
I mean, I
I'm
just
done.
they got the guys to guard him. So,
Yeah, they had the
Yeah.
matchups.
all right, let's
Guys, keep up with.
jump to Luka.
There we
From
go.
one
Big-
Mav star to another.
Big Luka.
Big
series
Doncic.
here.
Angry Luka.
Luka. I mean, this guy's terrifying. I gotta say, amongst all the faults, and we can go over them.
Damn it.
I mean, he was definitely a little banged up. Also looked just tired.
Oh yeah.
But maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes. He had, I don't know what for the first 3 games, he only had 8 points in the fourth quarter in total. So, they really put him in some effort, they really, tested him on defense a bunch, just continuously going at him, making him defend.
Yeah.
There was no place for him to hide. But he finished the series 29.2 points per game, 8.8 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing for him was his assists. And this goes to a product of, only 28 total assists for him. Like if you look, Tatum had 36 and Brown had 25 assists for the series.
Yeah.
And again, that's the game plan. Make him do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But, they wouldn't even be close in this series if it wasn't for him. As much as of a turnstile he was on defense at times in this series. So he lost his composure in game 3. Really stupid fouls he committed. We can talk about the last foul, the 6th foul in that game 3, but he picked up a foul on Pritchard about 70 feet from the basket and another one on Al Horford about 90 feet from the basket. You just can't do things like that.
Yeah.
But because this team just wouldn't have even been close in any of these games without him, I settled on a B. I settled on a B.
A B overall.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
I think he was awesome, but I think when you're in these big moments, all your serious flaws, the things that only make up about 5 to 10% of your game that maybe are negative, really come out.
Yeah.
In these finals games. We've seen it before, like in in the Golden State series, Tatum actually shot really well from 3. What he could not do is finish around the basket, or he couldn't pass.
Yeah.
And
Jaylen Brown's
here,
left.
Luka, I think just his effort on defense at times and his conditioning, those are the 2 big things that I think he just has to improve. And they were flaws in advantage of the Celtics in this series. But a lot of it comes down to, maybe we'll get to a little bit of this in our Mavs Memoriam, but, when you don't have other creators on the team and you have to do everything yourself, this is kind of what happens. But I thought he thoroughly proved that he's the best player in this series, and he's one of the best, 3-4 players alive. But, his flaws came out. But that's fine. He's 25 years old, So I settled on a B.
Do you think the Mavericks would have beaten any other team from the East?
Well, I think the Celtics are such a difficult matchup for him because he can't hide anywhere. There's nowhere for him to hide in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Someone will attack him. And it's also what the Celtics do best. They look at mismatches. How can we, especially his weakness of the blow-bys, right? Like, I saw some stat where his blow-by percentage, I think it was after three games, the last 3 series of his, he had the highest blow-by percentage of in the last 10 years.
Guys
for
getting
his
blown
last
by
3
like
series.
there's no tomorrow.
So
I wish I'll be blown by.
but that just helps the Celtics offense function so well because you get into the paint, help comes, pass out, swing, 3.
Swing, yeah.
Right? Or help comes, hit the dunker spot, easy little lay-in. So those deficiencies really help the Celtics in a lot of ways, which I guess you could say, he's going to have to be better on defense if they're going to win a championship. But maybe another East team, he has a player to just hide out in a different system.
Yeah.
For example, if it's Milwaukee, right? Or if it's the Knicks,
Mhm.
right? You've got at least the guy who's not going to move around a bunch. But, I mean, he's going to get hunted. People are going to
Yeah.
hunt him.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a problem for him in the future.
Oh yeah.
I think the big thing is conditioning because I don't think he's the worst defender I've ever seen. I just
No.
don't think that he has the size to be a average defender. I just think if you're having to do so much on offense, it really is a detrimental on
His
your
defense.
defense.
I agree.
And he needs to be in better shape. But
Yeah.
he's still awesome.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
B. They wouldn't be in close in any of these games if
Oh,
he didn't
no.
do what he did. But I think there were times where again, it's conditioning, like where I felt like he could have been more aggressive just scoring. Just score over these guys
Yeah.
because you're not going to be kicking the ball out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right.
all right,
Rounding it
That's
out, the last student in my class. I teach basketball history, by the way.
he's a basketball
Basketball genius.
genius.
Basketball economics, actually.
Ooh.
The final J, the not finals MVP, Jason Tatum. In this series, 22.2 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 7.2 assists. Pretty well documented that he didn't shoot well. This series didn't shoot well from three. But I wouldn't say he was checked out of any of these games or this series. He scored 31 in the last game. He had
He had an awesome game 5.
Yeah,
It was
incredible
a
game
great-
5. 11 assists, 8 rebounds, a plus 18 overall. It's hard to argue with that. That's a closeout championship game. And I think it is a mark of a good team leader, whether that's a shared role or not, when the rest of the team doesn't need you to be a monster scorer or be super efficient, overall in the series. They talked about sacrifice, like you said. And it's remarkable to see a hand as cool and collected as Tatum's steer a team to a championship without hogging the spotlight for himself. Plus, he's only 26 and he might improve.
I think
He might
would-
never win a league MVP.
No.
But it's hard to point to a single glaring flaw. in his
Tatum
game.
to the moon,
Those
baby.
time
I think
around.
Danny picked him to be the MVP this year.
Did ya?
Well, no, I did not. Did I?
I think we can go
So-
back. I think so.
So I had to ding him a tiny bit. I had to give him an A-.
Actually, I want to go back in my notes real quick. I did have him as an honorable mention, but I had 3 picks for
Okay.
every award.
Yeah.
I remember.
2 things on Tatum.
Yeah.
One is this whole defensive scheme that they ran doesn't work without him. The fact that he guarded Gafford and Lively this whole series just completely took that role game again away because they can just switch it up top. And he's athletic enough that he can still rebound. And they won the rebounding battle. Well, actually, they lost the rebounding battle, but it was only because of game 4. The fact that he can rebound in there. And then, yeah, I mean, his shooting was just god-awful.
Right.
But the fact that we already went over the drives, but these are, I mean, he out-assisted Doncic in this series. Potential assists in the NBA Finals. Tatum, 54, Doncic, 48. Assist points created, Tatum, 88, Doncic, 67. Assist to turnover ratio, Tatum, 2.25, Doncic, 1.22. So you see the growth there where, I mean, he made passes that I never really thought that he would be able to make in this series.
Yeah.
And the defensive and rebounding effort was there. And he really saved them in game 3 in the first half with those 20 points because Jaylen wasn't ready to play in that first half at all. So going back to the thing where different players take over different quarters, I just think he played such a good all-around game. If he had shot better, which I think I really actually think there's something wrong with his shot. It's been too long now where he hasn't shot the ball great.
Yeah.
And not all of it is shot, which shots he takes. I mean, some are the bad shots. But yeah, I just thought it was really impressive for him to be so unselfish.
Yeah.
In these games and just do whatever is necessary. And I do think like if he can start just shooting better in these games, I mean, it's a scary player now, really scary player. But we'll see how the shot comes along.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the dinging. I would have given him a B plus just because
B plus.
Gotta shoot better.
I don't know. He was so valuable to that team.
I agree. Okay,
but that's fair. I
could have shot better.
I appreciate that. He could have shot better for sure. But,
yeah. Thanks.
He shot well, like you said, in the Warriors series, and they didn't win that shit.
No, he shot well from 3, not from 2.
Yeah,
from 3.
There's just some finishing. He said he was nervous at the beginning after game 1. So I don't know. I feel like he felt a lot of pressure for this one.
Oh yeah,
which is you could tell when he won, just the utter shock, and I feel like relief.
Yeah,
which is crazy about a player who's only 26. You feel like he was like 34 or something, and finally got over the hump. But I feel like he's been in the spotlight for so long now that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
So.
And all these stories about, Jordan and all those other guys.
Yeah, Kobe.
Champion Kobe.
Yeah.
Didn't win it before that age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he could ever win a league MVP?
I don't. Yeah, if everyone gets injured, I don't.
Yeah, we have to be like a specific service. I did have, by the way, for those keeping track at home, we would probably have to listen to the pod to see who I actually picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
I think it was just Jokic. Because I have Giannis / Dame, but I remember thinking that they would like take away votes from each other.
Okay.
And I had Jokic, and then I had Tatum.
I just remember you.
Okay.
I do remember throwing out Tatum, and you go,
honorable mention.
You to me.
I don't. Yeah. I don't think he's a league MVP. Like, I guess he would have to just shoot the walls off the ball for a whole whole year.
Yeah. Or maybe like the Celtics are just so much better than everyone else.
But they were so much better than everyone else this year. I just think
and guys get injured.
Yeah.
And like the other guys get I don't know.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't think he's that kind of player, but I do think
I don't see him as that.
I don't know.
Anymore.
Maybe this kind of pressure coming off of him could help him shoot better.
Yeah.
Like a league without Shea, Luka, Giannis, and Jokic.
Yeah, they all get hurt.
They all get hurt.
I think Jokic and Luka, Luka would need to get hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe Embiid, but that's
Embiid,
probable.
Yeah, right.
Well, those were our player grades for the NBA Finals. And coaches and bench units. Now, coming up next, we're going to get a little somber. One last time. Get a little sad for these Mavs. To wrap up the finals talk. In Memoriam, Mavericks edition. I mean, what could be said, you know?
What can be said?
We got a big Luka despiser over here. So
big
what do you have to say?
Whenever I watch a guy go through the playoffs and get to the finals, I gain a little sympathy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You start to appreciate their game. You can't help it. After all, these guys are just out there doing things with the ball that nobody could imagine.
Yeah.
And Luka does it. It's impressive of him. I don't think this is the worst loss a finals team has ever suffered.
No. He's young.
He's a young guy.
Yeah.
You need these reps, and to get there at this stage is pretty incredible.
Well, I liked what he said after it was all over. I mean, I liked that he was pissed, first of all, because you know that guy's a super competitor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I liked how he was talking about the Celtics experience. Like, they've been through this, so this is I guess it's their kind of his second step along the way.
Yeah.
He lost in the conference finals a couple of years ago. Now he's at the finals. It stings and it drives you, and hopefully it will drive him to try to shore up some of the things that are weaknesses in his game, because he does have weaknesses. He's not the perfect player, but he can get better at those things. And if he treats his body super well, which I think is a question based on, just sort of the vibe around him and the fact that he's never been in pristine shape, but he can fix those things.
Yeah.
And I feel like a sting like this can, vault you to do that. I mean, look what it did for the other side, for Tatum and Brown. I think it helped them shore up. So he's got that opportunity. So it's an awesome season for the Mavs. They were a 5 seed. They got to the finals.
Yeah, at one point we were talking about them missing the play-in.
Yeah. And so I guess just to talk a little bit about the Mavs, do we think that this team will be back
Next
Not
year
next
or
year.
ever?
maybe, let's say, the next couple years?
I think they could be back, yeah.
I think once in whatever this next 5 years, let's say, once in the
Sure.
next 5 years.
But what if they get
Maybe
LeBron
not
and
next
Bronny,
year.
bro?
Well, I don't know if that happens, it's over.
Among Us? Could
It's
you imagine
fucking
the
done.
gaming
If they
They're
get
not
nights
even
with
gonna
those
have
guys?
a fifth guy.
Those four
the
gamers.
Fortnite nights.
So
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
they won't be back next year?
It could be next year. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
think it's possible.
Do you think
I
that?
don't think I want to have them the favorite out west, but also I'm not even thinking about that.
Yeah, not even. You have to see how all the pieces move in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it was necessarily a flash in the pan. Like that was a consistently good team for a few months.
yeah. I'm still holding true to my prediction from 7 years ago.
I just think, yes, that's fair. I just think they don't have a lot of ways to improve those
Yeah.
side pieces.
Yeah,
And so I feel like, and not every team can do it, but the Celtics did put a blueprint out on this team, how to beat the team,
mm-hmm.
at least defensively. I mean, the Celtics on offense, team's going to attack them in Dallas in an entirely different way. But offensive, I mean, when the Mavs are on offense, I feel like there is a little bit of a blueprint. And I feel like they did get lucky in the matchups this year, having to face Minnesota. And I don't know, the West is just tough out there. I think it's going to be a
is.
rough West.
Yeah.
I do think. I think the Mavs had a grittier playoff run than the Celtics.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I think they just need, I don't know, I think they need one more piece that's an effective role player who can do a little bit more than PJ Washington can.
No, definitely.
And I just don't know how they get that player because their tank is pretty much empty here. They spent all their capital, this year. So I don't know if this version of this team will be back. Although Lively could improve.
That is
yeah.
a silver lining. Yeah.
So, I mean, he hit that 3-pointer in game 4 in the corner. He
Not
might
very
be able to
lively
shoot those.
anymore.
He might be able to shoot
They're
those.
deadly from 3.
So, I don't know.
He could be. He could be.
I definitely pick the field in the West over them for the next couple of years. I would
That's
not.
fair.
I would not be shocked if they're back.
Yeah.
But I do think there are kind of levels to this stuff, and without that third creator, or they're just gonna have to make some internal growth.
Yeah.
which is possible.
Something's gonna have to
Just
give
possible.
there.
But I would bet against it. Them getting
Yeah,
back there.
that's fair.
But
Me too, probably. But hey, what can I say? They galloped into the playoffs based off
Yeah.
new trades.
beautiful run.
It's
They
not that
galloped.
Oh, sorry.
Can I
Go
do my
ahead.
little bit?
No, I'm sorry.
Who's
They galloped.
They galloped past Bucks, Clips, and
Yeah.
all the problems out there. They galloped past the
It's true.
wall. They galloped past the treacherous storms and thunder in Oklahoma City. They galloped past those ferocious big T-Wolves out in Minnesota.
Well, like the T-Wolves will be back. I feel like they'll be improved. I don't think the Nuggets are going away.
But they couldn't gallop past the little Irishmen. Put a goat.
It's not that I think that they're super likely to be back.
Yeah,
It's that I think
yeah,
all those
I
other
just-
teams are somewhat equally unlikely to be back.
Yeah, I would take the field, but I took the field this year, and they somehow got past all those teams.
They galloped.
So they
Yeah.
galloped their way into our hearts.
Yeah, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there.
Yeah, they'll be around. All right, what you got,
Alright.
Chuck? Any more in memoriam?
No, I don't know. No.
No poem this time?
Fuck Kyrie. That's my poem. Nah, I really enjoyed Kyrie this year.
Yeah, I did
enjoyed
too.
it a lot.
Just wrong.
I
But
did too.
I did like just watching him suffer in the Boston
Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah.
Can't blame
Good
him.
vindication
but-
for y'all.
Yeah.
Some vindication.
Yeah, I feel vindicated. Thank you, Mavs, for being there. Yeah, happy for them. Good. Have a fun off season.
Have fun with whatever you got going on next.
No,
And
no
we'll give your Celtics one last congratulations.
Let's go Celtics!
Go Celtics! No in memoriam for them because they're alive, baby.
I got one more question. One more Celtics thing
Okay.
that I don't. What about their chances of
Of repeating?
Repeating?
or not
Repata?
even? I don't even want to say repeat.
Or the next few years?
And I'm not gonna mention the D word because that's stupid. But just to get another one.
Derek
Division?
White?
No.
Dick?
Division?
Um.
I mean, obviously the East is gonna be back in charge next year.
Yeah. The East is back in charge.
But the whole team's coming back.
The whole team's coming back. I might have my money
I mean-
back on them going back, honestly. If I had to pick them versus the field, might pick them.
It's an obvious favorite right now.
You got a
Yeah.
Doc coaching the Bucks.
It doesn't mean they're gonna.
No, and it's super
Lawrence
hard to
Fishburne.
repeat. To repeat is so hard. We learned
Tibbs
that
gonna
this
burn
year with
those
Denver.
players to the ground.
The only thing,
Embiid will flare out.
and they're-
yeah, that's not
And
happening.
he's never getting past that second round.
I'd say two things. This team is gonna stay together. The only real contract in question is after next year, Derek White.
Yeah.
Gotta sign him. And I think if and this is just a huge if Porzingis can stay healthy through a playoff run, I think they have as good a shot as any one of these last contenders to repeat, which I would say is not good based on the track record.
Yeah.
But I do think they have a good shot if he's healthy. I think that eventually without him in the lineup, I think they're beatable by even by one of the East teams, or if it's a Denver Celtics
Yeah.
final.
We'll
You know,
never
they
get
need
that
him.
final.
They need him. So
Don't be so
because
sure.
Al is getting old too. So
Yeah.
We'll see what they get from him.
You don't think Al just retires after this?
now he's coming back.
He's coming back,
Mhm.
confirmed.
Well,
What do you think, Ben? Ignore what Chuck just said.
He's not coming back. Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed.
No,
All
he
right.
loves this. You gotta have a if you want to. You gotta have a chance to repeat, don't you think?
No,
I
I
would
think
go after it.
Yeah, I think he'll go after it. But
He
also
might be a little Haslam
on the
type.
night they won,
hanging
I
out
was
with
like,
it.
No, he's way better than Haslam ever
Yeah.
was. And
that's true.
this past year, he was way better than Haslam was ever.
Yeah, when they won, I was just like, what if I'll just retire tomorrow?
He could, but
I was like, I wouldn't
think
be
he's
shocked.
coming back.
38,
Wick.
right?
Wick said he's coming back.
Yeah, I believe in Wick. John
but-
Wick.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because their cap situation is actually, even though it's a lot of money, they're actually pretty locked into the team and don't need to
Yeah.
make a ton of moves. Which is like Denver had to let Bruce Brown go basically, and then they just, they were like, let's invest in some young players for, instead of re-signing Jeff Green. Celtics don't have to make any hard decisions like that next year.
Yeah.
This is the team. I'm not sure they'll, be much better. It is just super hard to repeat. But I do think that they have maybe a better shot than, I don't know, maybe about the same as Denver last year.
Yeah,
Which we saw how it ended.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Anyway,
playing
that can
these
wrap
finals
that.
to
Go
bed.
Celtics.
Go Celtics.
Let's go. Celtics. That's my awkward cheer.
That's a good awkward cheer.
I'm going to enjoy it. I can't wait for Olympic basketball, though.
Oh, shit.
It's coming.
It is coming.
It's just
Danny's not thinking about it, though.
I'm not thinking
Not
about
thinking
it.
about
All
it.
right,
yet.
let's
right.
let's close this out.
Hold on. We got more guys. I got.
What do you got on your chest?
Hold on. You smell that? The NBA offseason's here. And it's already heating up. We got 3 quick news things for the NBA offseason. First bit of news. Jeff Van Gundy
Yeah.
back to being a coach. He is the lead assistant coach for Bucks LA Clippers.
Wow. And he just got a championship ring.
He did?
Yeah, he was a special advisor to Brad Stevens.
Ooh, special
Yeah.
advisor.
Whoa.
So you
How
get
you
to
feel, Buck?
You get to take, we were Clippers, Celtics were Clippers East, but now we've overcome that, and now we're going to send you the
Clippers
secret.
are Celtics West.
The
secret ingredient.
advisor.
JVG.
Maybe we had it all wrong.
Fired from ESPN. They thought he could
Better
never
sign Paul
come
George,
back.
nice and quick.
Don't fucking- Yeah, man. Good luck with the Clippers, Jeff. I hope you can knock some sense into that team. Special advisor.
Special advisor.
Always one of my favorite announcers. Liked what he had to say about
let's
things.
go.
I think he's going to make a huge difference to this Clippers organization. I'm actually flying out tomorrow to LA to interview him.
Really?
So I'll let you guys know when I dig up the dirt
Yeah,
on that.
record it for the pod.
It's probably going to drop on major streaming services, but
Yeah. February
um,
29th.
No, yeah, happy about that. What's the next bit of news, Steve?
Sticking with coaches, Monty Williams is finally fired from the Detroit Pistons.
It's the slowest
they
firing
owe
ever.
him 60 plus mil or something, like 65.
Man, that's rough. if you're the Pistons.
Jeez.
What do you guys think about that?
I thought it was an ownership. I read that it was an ownership fire, which is just like, oh my god.
Oof.
I mean,
Is it usually the front office that makes the decision?
Or like
I
the
think
collective.
technically,
Collective,
but
like
it,
the GM.
the word around there is the ownership has just had too many fingers on the pie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wouldn't be shocked.
What does that mean?
like when your owner is so intertwined in your basketball operations, your
And making-
team
Not
tends to run back.
letting the professionals make
Yeah,
those
It
decisions.
Like-
turns to
like
get
the Knicks.
dysfunctional.
Like the
the
dole.
Knicks.
Whoa, whoa,
Until
whoa, whoa,
recently, the Knicks.
Whoa,
yes.
whoa, whoa.
Hashtag
No, yeah,
clipped.
it is.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, Kings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good one.
Right.
Yep.
That's just an LOL from me. LOL.
Chuck's new bit. Awkward cheers, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Chuck's Awkward Cheers.
Chuck's awkward corner. We're gonna need sound bites
New
of
segment.
all those.
I can't
That's an
wait.
LOL from me. All right.
Well, shout out to Monty. He was the coach hired to lose. paid to lose.
What's
Third
next
one?
for Monty? Do you know?
He's just sitting on his ass in Cancun
Yeah, I don't think.
with all that
Maybe
money.
he gets an assistant
If he
job.
if he gets hired,
I
though,
don't expect him to get a head coach job this year
Yeah.
right away.
if he gets hired, they have to part of the salary
Yeah.
gets off. So he's
chilling.
he's had such a horrible run these last couple
years, yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe,
chilling.
hey, maybe the Lakers call.
Who knows? I wouldn't be shocked. Would not be shocked. Yeah, we'll pay half of that. Fuck it. All right, last bit of news. The Pacers bringing back the spice.
Your
He got
favorite nickname.
Spicy P. Got extended.
Oh.
Got 4 years, 106, I think. I believe I'll double check that right now.
I'll applaud that.
So he was the first domino to fall.
There's another one, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just
First
gonna.
domino to fall. What do you guys think?
They had to do it.
Oh, 189 and a half.
How many years?
4 years.
189.5. No, I love it. I love him on
I
that
said
team.
106.
I mean, you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
They traded from. What about? You think that these Anunoby reports are that's just fishing? That's just mind games.
I think they're Ananobius.
That he's
what
not
are they?
happy with the Knicks offer.
Oh,
I think it's just.
I think it's
Bleh.
leverage.
Yeah,
Just
leverage
floating,
moves.
floating little leverage.
Yeah, I do think I think he was going to hit free agency no matter what because
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird free agency. He's one of the premier wings available, and there's like several teams that have money, and of course the Knicks want him back.
Yep.
So I thought, it's just smoke
How do you know which teams have money?
because you could. There's plenty of websites that say so.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just wondering.
What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
there's.
Also, you could see it at the deadline.
contracts
like the
end.
Sixers cleared up money. There was multiple teams that
It's
cleared up
amazing
money.
you keep all this in your mind.
Well, I also got refreshed this
He
morning.
keeps it on the internet.
Yeah, I keep it on the internet.
All right. I mean, I read the internet too, but I'm not in the same.
You just
Go
gotta
ahead.
you gotta look.
But you've heard about the Sixers Paul George rumors, and
Yeah, because they only
They
have
have
like
money.
Yeah, I've
they
heard
only
of
have
that. I've
three
heard of
guys
that.
Yeah.
like on contract for next year.
yeah, so the Sixers have money to spend. this
Okay,
year.
sure, fair enough.
Yeah, them getting rid of Harden was, and PJ Tucker was,
Yeah.
clearing the books.
Oh.
Clear in the books. But will anyone
actually,
want to
Harden was a free
join
agent.
Maury when he lies?
Oh, stay tuned next time. All right, last but not least, I mean, there's no more news. That was it.
He's alive.
That was the news around the league, ladies and gents.
Good
and
news.
people.
Can
before
I
we
just
go?
can
Yeah,
I
go
just one thing? This whole Dan Hurley and the Lakers thing.
Talk about
Oh
it,
yeah,
Chuck.
I
is-
almost mentioned that. Too.
Oh my god.
What's up?
This is the stupidest thing ever. These fucking Lakers, first of all, they dropped this story the day of, I think it was like the day of the first NBA Finals game, that they're in pursuit of Dan Hurley, who is a fantastic basketball coach, but runs a system in which, there's so much movement.
Yeah.
It's like perfectly designed for the college game, and the Lakers are out there. Oh, reports says they're gonna offer him a huge sum of money, which he would rightfully deserve.
Yeah.
Because he just won back-to-back national championships.
Mhm.
But they offered him 6 years, $70 million. That's the sixth highest paid coach in the league. So not like a huge difference. And I just don't even understand what they were doing, because I don't think he fits in the
I
LeBron
agree.
system like whatsoever. Like they don't have, if he was going to move to the NBA, he'd want like a De'Aaron Fox like King sort of
Yeah.
situation where they got a couple guards to run around.
Yeah. I
It,
agree.
it just makes no sense, because LeBron's teams always sort of look the same.
Yeah, like LeBron's team.
So what is
no matter who's
and
coaching.
he's a maniac. He yells at everyone. Like, how is this going to work with LeBron? He's not going to be yelling at
Yeah.
LeBron all the time. It was such a dumb, stupid story. I never thought he was going to
I
sign
didn't think it was
there.
a good fit. Yeah.
So
And he rejected them.
yeah, and he
Stephen
rejected
A.
them.
Was like, the Lakers should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
getting
you know what?
rejected by college coaches.
And the thing is, it doesn't even matter who the Lakers coach is.
Yeah.
Because they done for the next couple of years. They
Whoa,
done.
whoa,
They're not winning shit.
whoa.
They're a
Is that
perennial.
part of your prediction, Danny?
They're a perennial play-in team,
No.
and they're gonna be that way until LeBron retires or moves on, and then they go through a whole rebuild. So
Interesting. You say
bye, Lakers. Bye. Bye.
So long.
18 to
Farewell.
17. Goodbye.
that. We already did their in memoriam. Anyways, last thing, Commissioner's Cup. Who you got? New York Liberty versus the Minnesota Lynx. Look pretty good this year.
You know I got New York, baby.
I'll take the Lynx.
Whoa!
I'll take the Lynx.
Is it one game?
Whoa! Yeah.
Yeah,
one
one
game?
game.
When is it?
Next week, Tuesday. I want to say maybe it's like Sunday. I don't know.
Okay.
It's coming up though. Within
Why?
We
Why?
won, Liberty won last year. Why wouldn't we win again?
Yeah,
No, but the Lynx are very good for sure.
I just looked it up. They have a couple games before that, so that's
Yeah.
why I think it's next week.
June 25th?
Okay.
25th. Yeah,
That's like Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Just say.
got it right.
Nice.
There you
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah,
Liberty,
Lynx,
of course.
Lynx have been pretty good
biased.
this year.
Yeah, they've been
Gotta
good.
rep
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Gotta give them
Let's go.
credit. Salute
Let's
to Minnesotians out there.
All right, so
Belmont
Liberty,
Park.
Liberty, Lynx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
They're
right.
pretty good.
All right, we can wrap this thing up. That's all I got.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up with a thank you list.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'd like to thank the Brooklyn Nets organization, especially then owner Mikhail Prokhorov and his GM Billy King.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the Sixers for trading 2 spots up to grab Markelle Fultz and the Lakers, who were so obvious in their desire for Lonzo Ball that it allowed the Celtics to grab the best player in the draft at 3 while picking up more draft capital.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank them again for passing on Jaylen Brown, both of those teams. And I'd like to thank John Horst for rerouting Drew Holiday to somewhere where he may have, for not rerouting him somewhere where he may have wanted to stay. So thank you to all those people. The Celtics are the champs. And I'm ready to say goodnight.
Yep. I want to say one last thank you myself. I want to thank this pod.
Oh, yeah.
We got through our first NBA season.
Full NBA season,
From
16
all season-
episodes.
Congrats.
Now to the next off. We're going into our second off season.
Second
guys.
offseason.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
And Ben's name only changed 7 times.
Oh, next season it's gonna be way
Hey,
more.
you got to get those stats up.
Yeah,
gotta get
I'm
more-
gonna start juicing my
We
stats.
expect more
Stats.
more names next year.
More
Good.
names.
You got to have
Good.
a
Yeah, yeah.
bigger average.
Good.
Increase your scoring average.
All right,
But
Dan
just-
Hurley.
Just because the season's done doesn't mean we are.
No.
We're going to come back with some pre and post draft analysts. We're going to come back with Ben's cookie tier list
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And
It's in the works.
Baseball.
and
I
some
could start
baseball.
watching baseball.
And we're going to come back and talk all NBA news all off season.
Some WNBA and
Yeah.
hopefully some maybe a kind of movie review.
Movie
We could do a
review or two.
basketball
Oh,
movie or
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Talk
we do talk
movies.
Yeah.
talk movies. Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some guests this off season. Who knows?
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Yeah.
We gotta do that.
We've been
Definitely
due
gotta
for
get
a
on that.
guest.
Yeah,
We have been
do
too.
forget.
We have been too. Yeah.
But yeah, until next time, I'm Duck.
I'm Chuck.
Buck,
This is the No Shots Podcast.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
And good night.
The No Shots podcast is brought to you by Dank Delish Coffee. You can find Dank Delish coffee beans at dankdelish.com and have their deliciousness shipped right to your lovely abode. Start your morning with a cup of delish. You can also follow the No Shots podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Like and comment. Thanks for listening to the show.